Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Frank Mecca on behalf of the County Welfare Directors Association. My members administer the CalWorks program on your behalf, and you basically ask us to accomplish two things: ameliorate destitution of children and help people move from welfare to work. And there's much to be proud of in the way you've constructed the CalWorks program. But because of the maximum family grant rule and because of the erosion of grants that have already been discussed, you're undermining the efficacy of your program. We struggle to help people move from welfare to work because they're living at such low incomes that they teeter on the verge in and out of homelessness. Housing costs are so high, cost of living is high, and grants are so low that people can barely make it through the day. And in that environment, the ability for people to focus on moving from welfare to work is compromised. And so outside of what the advocates have, other advocates have told you, and we would tell you here today, very deep poverty is debilitating. And the consignment of a generation of kids to that is criminal. This is emotional for me. So if you want a program that's decent and that gives kids a chance, and a program that gives parents a decent chance of moving from welfare to work, you will all sign on to the action that the committee just took today. We thank you for it, and when, not if, it becomes the law of the land, will be a great day.
Thank you, Mr. Mecca. Mr. Aslanian.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Kevin Aslan, Coalition of California Welfare Rights Organizations. I should tell you that the grants today are at the same level that they were in 1988. So, in the rent and the cost of milk and the cost of bread has not changed, has gone up, hasn't gone down. I have a chart over here that shows that most people on CalWorks do not own, 56% of the families get aid for one less person than the actual family size. So majority of the families are being excluded. Only 44% of the families are getting aid for the number of people in the family. So when somebody comes over and says that the maximum aid for 3 people is $704, that doesn't mean that most people at CalWorks are getting $704. That means that most of them are getting $560. In fact, the maximum grant is not what people get. If you look at the numbers, in reality, even though $704 is what the maximum grant is, the average grant is going to be $497 next year. And that's a $207 difference between the maximum and the average. And for the food stamps, the maximum is $511, but the average is actually $307. So not everybody gets the maximum. You have to look at the average. And the average is what my folks live on. They don't live on the maximum. They live on the reality of what they get. On the chart number 3 shows that this year the average grant was $514. That was only 31% of the federal poverty level and 21% of the supplemental poverty level. The budget proposes to bring that down to $493. That's a 3% cut in average CalWorks benefits for next year. And that would be about 30% of the federal poverty level and 20% of the supplemental poverty level. And chart 4 shows how the grant has been assassinated year after year after year and come to the point of becoming equal to 31% of the federal poverty level. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Aslanian. Do we have anything from the LAO's office?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ryan Woolsey with the Legislative Analyst's Office. I'll first note that our office has carefully reviewed the administration's CalWorks budget proposal for 2016-17. It is a workload budget without any significant changes, and it appears to us to be consistent with current law, and we're not raising any issues at this time. I'll also direct your attention to page 21 of the agenda, which lists estimates of the costs associated with the action the committee just took, as well as the child poverty subaccount funds that are estimated to be available. These numbers are in part based on projections provided by our office, and while they are uncertain, we do expect that over time the funds in the Child Poverty and Family Supplemental Support subaccount will grow to gradually offset and at some point eliminate general fund expenditures toward the action that was taken. And we're available to answer any questions about the projections that the committee may have.
Thank you. Anything from the Department of Finance?
Mr. Chair, Tyler Woods, Department of Finance. At this time, the Department of Finance does not support this proposal because it results in significant ongoing general fund costs that are not reflected in the governor's budget. However, Finance will continue to work with the legislature and the LAO to further refine and explore this proposal.
Any questions from committee members? Let me just say this, Mr. Woolsey. We acknowledge your statement that the Department of Finance does not support the committee's action. However, it is our belief that the funds in this subaccount make it possible for this action to take place and to be sustained, and to, in a very short period of time, not require any support from the general fund. I would like to ask, I'm sorry, Mr. Woods, I apologize. I called you Woolsey. Mr. Woolsey, I would like you, if you would, please elaborate a little bit more about the projections that your office has provided to give us all a deeper understanding of how much support would be needed from the general fund for how long, and then at what point the dollars in the sub account will be able to sustain the support of the repeal of the maximum family grant rule.
Certainly. The table on page 21 shows that initially the vast majority of the costs would be borne by the general fund because currently there are very little or no resources available above what's already been committed in the Child Poverty and Family Supplemental Support subaccount. However, under the funding structure that the subaccount is a part of, each year the excess of growth in vehicle license fee and sales and use tax revenues that go into state and local realignment is allocated through a series of complex formulas to various subaccounts, including this one. Under these projections, which, as I mentioned, are subject to some uncertainty, the general fund cost could be reduced to zero by 2021-22. The uncertainty in these estimates is primarily in looking at what the future revenues will be. There's always uncertainty in estimating future revenues, as well as uncertainty about how the formulas that allocate these growth monies among various accounts will play out. As a result, the point at which the general fund cost is completely eliminated could be sooner, could be later, but based on these projections, it would be around 2021-2022.
Thank you. And if you would just elaborate a little bit further, not all of us were familiar with the subaccount. I myself was not familiar with it until fairly recently. But would you tell us a little bit about the origination of the Child Poverty and Family Supplemental Support subaccount?
Yes, this account was created as part of budget legislation that was passed in 2013-14 budget package. Essentially, this came about at the point when the state expanded the Medi-Cal program to include single adults. And as part of that, several changes were made to state-local realignment. One of these was to redirect certain revenues that previously went to provide growth monies that supported county administration of various social services programs. This was redirected to a new subaccount that under current law is designed to pay for new grant increases. And the two 5% increases that were mentioned by a previous panel are in fact intended to be supported with these funds. As the subaccount gains more resources, as growth continues, new increases may be provided. Under the committee's action, the resources in the subaccount would be dedicated for the foreseeable future, so the provision of automatic increases would cease. But on the other hand, the general fund costs of the action would go down over time.
Thank you. Any other committee questions? Obviously, this is a conversation that will be ongoing, but we have to thank the previous legislature for the foresight for establishing the subaccount to give us a vehicle to actually be able to take this action here today. So thank you very much, and thank you to all of our witnesses. If there's any public comment, we'd be happy to take public comment at this time.
Chairman and members, Andrew Shane from the California Association of Food Banks, and very pleased to somehow be the first person to come in support of both the repeal of MFG and the grant increases. Thank you.
Thank you.
Melanie Garza with Access Women's Health Justice out of Oakland, a co-sponsor of the repeal, and I'm here just to announce my support for the repeal of the maximum family grant rule. Thank you.
I'm Kathy Deppie from 9 to 5, National Association of Working Women in California, and I'm very happy that you passed this today, and thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Catherine Brandenburg with Brownstein, Hyatt, Farber, and Schreck. We represent Alameda County and are in full support of the repeal. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chairman, members. Dennis Cuevas Romero on behalf of the California Latinas for Reproductive Justice, one of the co-sponsors of SB 23. We want to thank you and the committee and staff for your action today in repealing the maximum family grant. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Judy Darnell with United Ways of California, representing 32 local United Ways across the state. We've been supporting this repeal for many years and are thrilled with the vote today. And we know that it will help families climb out of poverty even a little bit quicker, hopefully. And we ask any nay votes to hopefully change their votes.
Thank you.
Maya Ingram for the ACLU of California, a co-sponsor of the repeal, and thank you today for your vote on this important proposal.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members. Martha Guerrero representing the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors. I'm in support of SB 23 repeal, the maximum family grant, and we applaud you for your efforts today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Gina De Silva with the California Immigrant Policy Center, in strong support, and also really appreciate the action that's been taken today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lizzie Buchan, Californians United for a Responsible Budget, in very strong support of this repeal and thrilled by the action taken today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Jennifer Greppy with Parent Voices California, and representing our 15 chapters across the state to repeal the maximum family grant rule. And just thank you for taking this action today. It's going to change the lives of so many families in this state, and our children deserve better. So thank you.
Thank you.
Sydney Reyes with the California Partnership to End Domestic Violence, strong supporters and very excited with today's action.
Thank you.
Michelle Stolparvensky, Children's Defense Fund California, in strong support of the repeal, and thank you very much for your leadership.
Thank you.
Sandra Fluke with Voices for Progress. Thank you so much for today's vote, and we really do hope to see the Department of Finance in support in the future, given that this addresses the governor's concern about impacting the general fund in the end and provides dedicated funding for the source.
Thank you.
Emily Harris with the Ella Baker Center for Human Rights, in strong support. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Claire Lipschultz. I'm with the National Council of Jewish Women and the Interfaith Coalition to Repeal SB 23. The coalition consists of California Catholic Conference, the Lutheran Office of Public Policy, California Church Impact, as well as Friends Committee on Legislation. We came together as a faith-based group because we believe from our various faiths in the human dignity of every human being, and therefore repeal of the maximum family grant is essential toward meeting that dignity. So thank you for your vote today.
Thank you.
Tracy Patterson, California Food Policy Advocates, in strong support of the repeal and very thankful for your action today to start to chip away at our rate of child poverty and hunger in the state.
Thank you.
Joanna Parnes with Bay Area Legal Aid. I see every day how the maximum family grant rule plunges families into deeper poverty and homelessness, and I'm really thrilled and moved by the committee's action today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gabriel Garcia with the Southeast Asia Resource Action Center. Really want to thank everybody for supporting the bill. Our communities, Southeast Asian American communities, are plagued by cycles of poverty, and this really helps uplift these communities in a large way. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kevin Ensko, Friends Committee on Legislation of California. Thank you so much for your vote to repeal the maximum family grant rule.
Thank you.
Alicia Vallon, National Association of Social Workers, and we also support the repeal of the maximum family grant. Thanks.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chairman Thurman, committee members, Noé Paramo, representing California Rural Legal Assistance and the coalition having our say. We thank you for your vote and the support of repealing the rule. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Joseph Vigela on behalf of CHERLA, the Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights of Los Angeles, in strong support. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Robert Klein. I represent DocFi, but I'm not here representing DocFi today. Thank you for repealing Maximum Family Grant. This is going to help my niece and her two children, one who's a newborn. Thank you.
Thank you.
John Bowders, Californians for Safety and Justice. Thank you to all the advocates who've been working on this for so long, to the members of the committee for your action. Strong support.
Thank you. Seeing no further public comment, we're going to move on to issue 3. Oh, we're actually going to hold and pass on issue 3 temporarily. We're going to move to issue 9, our discussion of immigration services, the implementation, update, and advocacy, and a request. I'm honored that we will have a presentation from 2 of our colleagues representing the Latino Caucus, Assemblymember Eduardo Garcia and Assemblymember David Chu. And as they come to make their presentation,
do you want us to sit there?
Yeah.
Okay.
As they come to make their presentation, I also want to acknowledge the great work of this committee last year in recommending what ultimately became a $15 million allocation in the budget to support naturalization. And so I want to acknowledge the committee's work in this area. We're excited to have our 2 colleagues who are here to talk about the issues of naturalization. With that, we will turn it over to Assembly Members Garcia and Chu.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And let me first start by thanking all of the advocates around the state who have been fighting for our immigrant communities and the incredible diversity of our immigrant communities in California. And I'm very proud of what it is that they do. I also want to thank our colleagues in our API and Latino caucuses who last year proposed the One California program. And a few things that I will say about the program. We all know that when you are forced because of the vagaries of immigration law into the shadows, that has tremendous costs, not just on those individuals, not just on their families, but on our community and the economy. In fact, it was calculated by the Obama administration last year when we started the conversation about this, that if we were to legalize and naturalize all the citizens that would be impacted by Mr. Obama's executive actions, that would bring over the next 10 years $28 billion into our economy. And so what was proposed to us by advocates and what those of us from our 2 caucuses were proud to help sponsor was the idea of making a very modest investment in naturalization services with community-based organizations that could provide culturally specific and language-specific services. And last year was the first investment in this area. I know we'll hear a little bit about what happened, but I want to say that the $15 million did go a very long way. I understand it impacted over 140,000 immigrants who are moving through the process, but that is only, again, a drop in the bucket when compared to the over 2.4 million Californians who are eligible for citizenship. And so this year, our 2 caucuses are again uniting in supporting a more significant investment, but again, I think a very modest investment given the dollars that we are going to see. Let me just take a moment, and I know we'll also have advocates to talk about this, but to talk specifically about the impact on Asian Pacific Islanders. In California, our API immigrants make up 15% of our undocumented residents, make up about a quarter of our state's eligible adults for naturalization. And this investment goes a long way. In fact, we know after the first 2 years of the DACA program, there have been significant barriers for API immigrants who have had disproportionately low application rates. There are many stories with with regards to the impact of how this helps individuals through the naturalization process. In fact, I'll share a story from San Francisco's Chinatown in the heart of my district, brought to me by a CBO, Chinese for Affirmative Action, about an elderly Chinese couple who was completely overwhelmed and confused by the citizenship process, but with the funding that they received, have submitted their application, and they're successfully navigating the challenges in the immigration process. In our state, there are almost 500,000 immigrants who are eligible to naturalize. And again, the impact for these individuals, their families, and our economy, I think can't be understated. And with that, I'm very happy not just to represent my own vote, but also to represent the API caucus as its policy chair as we move this forward. And with that, ask for your support as well.
Thank you, Assemblymember Chu. Welcome, Assemblymember.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm pinch hitting for our chairman, Assemblymember Luis Alejo. And on behalf of the 21 members of the Latino Legislative Caucus and our chairman, we respectfully request that the committee consider reinvesting in the One California Immigration Services funding program. Last year, part of the 2015-16 state budget, the legislature and the governor took the historic step of investing $15 million to provide grants to qualified nonprofit and legal service organizations with the goal of providing education, outreach, and application assistance to lawful permanent residents eligible for the Citizenship and Undocumented Immigrants Eligible Deportation Relief Program. This seed investment in the One California program was integral in allowing California to establish a robust and coordinated regional network of nonprofit and legal service organizations that will greatly expand the state's ability to serve and integrate its vast and ethnically diverse immigrant population. This is historic and unprecedented, but California can and should do more. Today, there are nearly 2.5 million lawful permanent residents in California that are eligible for citizenship. But our initial investment will only allow us to reach 3% of this population. In addition, up to 1.5 million residents are eligible for deportation relief under DACA and DAPA, but our initial investment will only allow us to reach the 3% of the current eligible population. I think I said that already again. We are better than that. California is better than that, and I think we proved that last year by making this investment. With over 10 million immigrants and the largest population of immigrants eligible for the administrative relief and naturalization in the nation, California has a unique opportunity to lift its families out of poverty and increase their financial security. And so I just wanted to read that statement that was prepared by our chairman and the caucus, and respectfully ask for your support again.
Thank you, Assemblymember Garcia. To the Assembly members, we appreciate your testimony. As you know, we're not agendized to take action on the proposal today. But, I would say from a personal standpoint, as the son and grandson of immigrants who were naturalized citizens, I can tell you that we certainly appreciate the importance of this issue for the 2.5 million Californians who are eligible, and the significant investment that it could mean to the state of California financially as well. This committee is certainly interested in the topic and looks forward to the ongoing conversation. We welcome you to continue as you are able with us. We have other witnesses that we'd like to give an opportunity to speak. We're happy to now turn to Gina De Silva from the California Immigrant Policy Center for her testimony.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. I'm Gina De Silva with the California Immigrant Policy Center. We really thank the subcommittee for their support last year of this important investment, and also really greatly appreciate the work of the Department of Social Services in establishing this historic funding that has so thoroughly reached across the state, and particularly into rural communities that are historically underfunded and underserved. The reality, though, is that $15 million, while integral for a first year of this new state program, severely underplays the great need in California and for these services, and doesn't reflect the demonstrated potential of the immigrant service providers to support our immigrant communities across the state. The federal government has acknowledged the incredible barriers to citizenship for the working poor, including income and limited English proficiency. Mexican immigrants particularly make up 40% of the eligible population that fall below 150% of the federal poverty level. Our One California grantees are not only helping immigrants navigate the application process, they're also connecting them to fee waivers and other opportunities to pay the $680 cost of the citizenship application. With that type of qualified and trusted support, many immigrants would not be able to apply or even navigate a process that often has roadblocks that may prevent them from continuing on the road to citizenship. With over 2 million immigrants eligible, we must expand this investment to reduce these disparities that block opportunity for our residents to become U.S. citizens. Additionally, we must invest more deeply to ensure our eligible immigrant population has the access to the right to work and relief from deportation through the deferred action programs. The current hateful and bigoted rhetoric at the national level targets our immigrant communities, and it has caused deep fear in our residents. We are currently only reaching, as the Assemblymember mentioned, 3% of the current DACA population, and we will potentially face an even greater need this summer with over 1 million more immigrants that will need deferred action services. 1 in 5 children in California have a parent that qualifies for these programs, and over 50% of those that are potentially eligible fall under 150% of the federal poverty level. We must ensure that California doesn't fail this community. We ask for your support moving forward for this expanded investment of $40 million for this program. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Da Silva. We'd like to now turn to Director Lightbourne for your testimony.
Thank you, Chair. Actually, I'm going to introduce Dan Torres. Dan joined us last July to direct our new immigration program. I'm very sad to say today is his last day with CDSS, but I'm proud to say that it's because he's becoming director of the Governor's Office of Immigrant Integration starting tomorrow. So, you're on, Dan.
Talk about jumping right in. Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chairman, members, and staff. My name is Dan Torres. Today I'm the Immigration Branch Chief of the Department of Social Services, and I will speak in that capacity. Yes, I'm here to speak about 2 important programs. The first was, given to you by introduction by Assemblyman Chu and Assemblyman Garcia, and just to be brief, they covered it very well. The department has implemented the program. We started last summer, worked with a lot of our stakeholder partners to map out the process and engage in the contracting and vetting process in the fall. We selected 61 nonprofit organizations that were very diverse and spread throughout the state to provide these services, and they began providing services on January 1st, 2016. From the department's perspective, we intend to engage closely with the nonprofit organizations that are providing services. We'll be getting and collecting data from them on a quarterly basis, and we'll be conducting site visits to ensure accountability that the services are being provided in a high-quality way and as intended by the statute. The other program I'm here to talk about is the Unaccompanied Undocumented Minors Program. This is a program whose purpose is to provide legal representation to unaccompanied undocumented minors in immigration proceedings. The program was created in 2014 with a $3 million investment. The same amount of funding was included in the 2015 Budget Act, and the budget proposal before you also includes the same funding at the same level. The department has engaged with 21 nonprofit legal services organizations that are providing services to unaccompanied undocumented minors. And with the 2014 funding, we were able to serve 725 clients at a rate of $4,000 per client. In 2015, we are serving 580 clients at a rate of $5,000 per client. And the reason we increased the rate is because we've learned that the representation requires many more resources than we originally imagined. The resources to represent a child in immigration proceedings are very intense. The types of remedies that our contracted attorneys are advocating for are difficult remedies to obtain. So we increased the rate to $5,000 for those reasons. And the average case length for these cases has increased. It's about 2.9 years to close a case. So the need is great, and the resources are intense, but this is a program that's critically important for unaccompanied undocumented minors. And like the Immigration Services Program, the department will continue to collect data on the performance of the contracts, and we'll be conducting site visits to ensure that the services are high quality. And I'm here to answer questions on both programs, so thank you.